Hello and welcome. In this video, I am going to be talking about handbags from two brands, British brand J&M Davidson and American Uruguayan brand Gabriela Hearst. I'm Anesu Sagonda and I produce educational luxury content for anyone after the finer things, whether you're young and starting out in life and wanting to reap the benefits of buying better quality from the get-go, or you're into luxury but you want to focus more on high quality, under the radar brands, or you're new to money and wanting to learn how to navigate the terrain, then my content is geared towards you. One of my wonderful subscribers, Big H, has asked, I think a couple of times, what are my thoughts on British brand J&M Davidson? Because it's a brand you hardly ever hear about. And it's always been something I've thought, why? Why is this the case? They have just one store in London. It's located on Mount Street, the same street that houses Moina, Valextra. There's also a Goya store as well. And Goya is moving, but still on the same street, but to a much bigger location. That's opposite Toteme, the new Toteme store. But Mount Street is a street I go to often. And for every 3-4 trips I make out onto Mount Street, up until before they closed, I would always pop my head into the J&M Davidson store because I really like the look of the products. The quality is fantastic, competitively priced, but I just couldn't understand why this brand isn't bigger. It's not stocked in any of the department stores. They don't have a concession or a concession in any of the independent boutiques. They just have the one store in London, which has now closed down. But the brand tell me they're currently looking for a new location. So stay tuned to Instagram, where I'm sure they'll announce when they have opened a new store. But at present, you can only find their products in Europe and the United Kingdom online, where they're retailing their accessories, their leather goods, small leather goods, belts, and so forth. They also used to retail clothes in London, but they're currently only available in Japan and they're not selling clothes online. But they will come back once they open a new store. And when I first discovered J&M Davidson many years ago, started researching the brand and then found out that the Japanese like J&M Davidson. And to me, a brand the Japanese like is a very good indicator, because the Japanese are arguably some of the most discerning, the most demanding, the most sophisticated of luxury consumers in the world. And anything they like, I will typically like. I have as yet to come across a dud luxury brand that the Japanese like. So J&M Davidson is very much on my radar, and it's a brand I really like. The style is very different to anything else in the market. The aesthetic is absolutely beautiful. It's unique. And it's a brand that I wouldn't hesitate to recommend because of the price point, because of the quality, the high quality of their products. What you are getting is absolutely fantastic. And it's a shame they've closed down their boutique. The visuals that I'm using in this video have been taken over the last 6 to 9 months. I've been into the store 3 times, so it's visuals from 3 different visits. And I'm glad I took those visuals because I didn't know they were actually going to close down the boutique until I actually called to try and schedule an appointment to go in and ask a few more questions, just fill a few gaps that I had with regards to the brand. The brand was started in 1984 by John and Monique Davidson. And they started the brand with a single belt, a belt that was inspired by equestrian hardware. What's worth noting is when it comes to traditional English leather craft, brands will typically use equestrian hardware as actual hardware on the products. And they'll also use a fairly robust, rigid leather like bridal leather. So think of another retail brand, British brand, Marbury, for example. So the brand was started with a belt. As the brand gained traction, they started producing other products, other belts, small leather goods, bags, for example, that are all still very much a part of their core offering of the brand. John and Monique sold the brand a long time ago. They haven't been involved with the business for a very long time. It's currently owned by a Japanese brand, but everything else is done in Britain. It's still headquartered in Britain. The management creative team is in Britain. The bags are produced in Europe, largely in Spain, in the south of Spain, and they use a mixture of Spanish and Italian leather. Now, what I really like about J&M Davidson and what sets them apart, and a brand I want to talk more about, and as I mentioned in the video I'm going to attach above, I want to move away from the bigger retail brands that are very well known and just focus on the smaller independent brands that are doing an incredibly good job. In the past, I've spoken about BONASTRE and GUIBERT that I've mentioned in the video I attached above earlier. And BONASTRE and J&M Davidson are very similar to me. They both have a fairly unique aesthetic, designs you'll not see anywhere else. But both brands finish their bags to an incredibly high standard. They are beautifully hand finished. You are getting a level of finish, a quality, a high quality of finish you are never going to get from the aspirational brands, but at an absolute fraction of the price. And then throw into the equation, I have been asked on so many occasions to talk about Strathberry, another British brand producing their bags in the south of Spain. Strathberry is doing incredibly well. I wish them all the success in the world. They're opening more stores, increasing their style offering, they're producing more bags. But what I'm noticing consistently with Strathberry is there's a decline in the consistency. I spoke in the video about edge coating being haphazardly applied. I've also seen issues with stitching where you don't have the neatness, the consistency I would like. But that's part and parcel of increasing the quantities you're producing. I don't know what their quality control is like, but this is where I now want to veer towards smaller brands like J&M Davidson that are producing significantly smaller quantities. But their attention to detail is fantastic. They're beautifully hand finished and they are really paying attention to how the bags are finished. They're using exceptional leathers. With J&M Davidson, they use a really smooth calfskin that's soft, it's sumptuous, it's thick. And that's the majority of their bags, but they do mix other leathers. The Ray Bucket bag, for example, has on the bottom part of the bag, some of the styles have a grained calfskin, or with the Fringe Carnival or the Fiesta tasseled bag, they'll typically use soft, sumptuous lambskin for the tassels. But the magic with J&M Davidson is they are beautifully hand finished. You're getting a very high quality of leather, of finish, of craft for an incredibly decent price. That's where the magic is. Brands that are just making significantly lower quantities and really paying attention to the details. I'm going to talk about 5, possibly 6 styles from J&M Davidson, just as a way of introducing the brand to you. What's also worth noting before I start is all of their bags are suede lined on the inside, and you'll find they typically have 2 size options with all of their bags, with the exception, I think, of, if I remember correctly, the zipped Quiver bag. But with everything else, you have 2 size options. The first bag, I think, would be perfect as a work bag, a tote, for example. It's the Ray Bucket bag. Depending on the size, very comfortably fit a laptop, but the size will determine the size of the laptop. And your essentials for the day. Can carry the bag either with the handles, or you could fold the top of the bag depending on what you have, how heavy it is, how bulky it is. Fold the top and then you can carry the bag under your arm as a really funky alternate clutch, for example. The second style also work as a work bag, possibly day to evening, depending on what you have. It's the Quiver bucket bag. It's an open bag, one big cavernous compartment with just a clasp on top. So you don't have a lot of security. So books, files would be perfect, things that you're not too nervous about getting stolen, for example. You could also place a laptop, a tablet in there, and then you have the clasp on top to close it. The bag also comes with a pouch attached to the bag that's on the inside, where you can place items that might need a bit more security, cards, cash, for example, in there, alongside books, files, tablet, for example, in that bag. Also within the same family, you have the zipped Quiver, which I personally like, and I think it's my favorite bag from J&M Davidson. I like the shape. The shape is different. I like the fact that it has a small strap, so you can carry the bag just using the strap, or you could attach an additional strap and carry it very comfortably over the shoulder or as a crossbody bag. But what I also like about the short strap is that you can carry it over the shoulder and it sits just snugly under your arm. It's very comfortable with one side coming up I like the shape. I like the fact that it's one big cavernous compartment, and I also specifically like aubergine color. I think it's absolutely beautiful. I think that's a really good addition to a handbag collection when it comes to the style and also the color. So the zipped quiver, fantastic as an everyday bag, a day to evening, a work bag, very comfortably take your essentials. But then again, it all depends on how much you carry, what do you carry to work. But I'm somebody who carries nothing but the bare essentials, literally gloss, my phone, depending on the season, sunglasses, keys, and a card holder, nothing more. So it would work fantastically well for me. The next style is the Mia Cube, and the Mia Cube is actually a departure from the style, the unique style of J&M Davidson. On their website, they describe their style as seamlessly blending artistry with functionality. The aesthetic is different, it's like none other, but the bags are still incredibly functional. Depending on your needs, your taste, your budget, you will always be able to find something you like. The styles are unique, but there's something for everyone, for every occasion, for every situation. But with the Mia Cube, I like the simplicity. It's just a simple, straightforward bag, 2 handles. You also have the option to add an additional strap, but a non-fussy, traditional styled bag. Comes in the smooth calfskin, but I have, depending on the season, I've seen the bag in wool and shearling material as well. So there are quite a few different design alternatives within the Mia Cube range. And then the last 2 styles are what J&M Davidson are most known for. They truly showcase the brand's brilliance when it comes to design, functionality. They're absolutely beautiful. The first is the Fringe Carnival. One big round cylindrical ball-shaped bag with one big cavernous compartment in the middle, drawstring fixture on top to open and close the bag. And then the tassels all around, made from buttery soft lambskin. This is where you appreciate the high level of hand finish that the brand have to offer. Beautifully cut, even tassels. I like the fact that there are many tassels. They haven't used them sparingly. And the way they just move around, dance around on the bag, making it a really fun, retro, very rock and roll bag. And then the second style, similar, still with the tassels, it's the Fiesta tasselled bag. Comes in 2 sizes. There's a smaller size, slightly bigger size, comes with an additional pouch attached on the inside of the bag. Slightly deeper bag, depending on your profession. It's an everyday bag, day to evening bag, something funky, something rock and roll, something that just adds a bit of fun, excitement, a bit of an edge to an outfit. The Fiesta tasselled and the Fringe Carnival, 2 of their most exciting, their most iconic, their best-selling styles. So that's a very quick rundown of some of the styles I've noticed I like that stand out at J&M Davidson. But do take a look at their website. I'm going to include the link in the description box down below for their full array of bags.